TikTok, time to rock. Welcome back to Leeation. In this video, we're gonna take a look at about why do passenger airplane needs windows. And I want to be very particular about one thing. In this video, we're not gonna dig much deep enough about why there was cockpit windows, and in case even if because I believe most of you people's news enough about why there was cockpit windows. Even in case if you just news enough about why there was cockpit windows. Of course, I'm also gonna touch a little bit about that particular thing later on at the end of this video. But for now, the major thing what we are gonna dig much deep in this video is why do passenger airplanes cabin have some windows? Well, if you're actually taking a look and half about it, to be honest, during the time of your flight, excluding the time of your takeoff, the ascent, the descent, and the time of your landing, you're not gonna get much views through the passengers' cabin windows. So then why do aircraft manufacturers are keeping those windows in all of their aircraft? Is what we're gonna go much deep into this video, and I actually brought up 3-4 different reasons, and you can say it is 3 or 4 different reasons, and yeah, it could be better concluded as 3 reasons. So we're gonna go across all those reasons one by one. So the first reason enough about why do passenger airplane cabins require windows is the safety reason. Well, if you ever travel in an airplane, you might be remember that cabin crews are announcing every passengers to lift off their window shades during the time of takeoff and also landing. And there was a reason behind it. I'll tell you with a great example. For example, just imagine if you are traveling in an airplane and where there was around 300 passengers on board, and in case if there is not even a single window exists at the cabin. And of course, the light, whatever it is outside, is actually it's impossible for the light, whatever it is outside, to enter into the airplane's cabin. So in that particular situation, like for example, just imagine you are into a very long haul flight. For example, if it is 12 or 13 hours, and you are arriving into your final destination after your 12 hours of journey, which is, let's conclude it as right at 12 p.m. of afternoon. Yeah, let's say it is 12 p.m. of afternoon, and you finally arrive at your destination. But the matter is, during your final approach, if something went wrong at an aircraft and you gotta do an emergency landing, and if the cabin crew is saying you gotta do an emergency evacuation, okay? And unfortunately, just also assume that those cabin windows, I'm sorry, not the cabin windows, the cabin lights which is in your aircraft has went down, everything has went down. So in that particular situation, it's going to be a very real problem, because cabin crews were usually having an objective of evacuating all the passengers on board within 90 seconds. So, because of you took a very long haul journey in this flight, and totally you've been into the aircraft more than 10 hours. So, more than 10 hours you've been into some of the lights, which is actually not much brighter. You've been into the light, you've been exposed to the lights, which is actually quite dimmer, because that's the only thing which will makes you convenient for your sleep. So, and currently when you're in your final approach, all the lights has also went down, which means the cabin has been done totally darker. And also just imagine those aisle lights which is guiding you to the emergency exit is actually active and it hasn't went down. So in that particular situation, you might be successfully went closer to the exit door and you are getting out of the exit door. And then there comes the problem. Because of you being into the darker cabin for a very long period of time, because of the sunlight couldn't be actually enter into the cabin, whenever you're evacuating the airplane, your eyes is gonna struggle a lot to look what is actually outside, and putting the whole evacuation process into a huge jeopardy, which is gonna become a very real headache for the cabin crews to evacuate all the passengers on board within 90 seconds. that's a very huge problem, because like for example, not for example, like if it was a really worst scenarios, like the whole aircraft has been engulfed into the fire, or the wings has been engulfed into the fire. So in that situation, like if this kind of a stress is gonna occur on all the passengers who is being getting evacuated from the airplane, of course it's totally a pure impossible thing for the cabin crews to evacuate all the passengers on board within 90 seconds, which means the passenger's life is in a total pure risk. And that's one of the first reason why there was windows at the passenger airplanes. And not only that, about that, let's say it also like, for example, just imagine you're in a flight and also if there was a windows, okay, now let's go to the example of if there is a windows on an airplane, and you've seen that at the right side, at the port is the left side and starboard side of an airplane, there was a huge engine fire, and those engine fire has wholly engulfed the whole right side wings of an aircraft. So in that particular situation, if there is a windows, your eyes is going to take a look into all those fire whichever has engulfed the whole right wing of an airplane, and during the time of evacuation, your mind has been totally ready and clearly telling you that like at the right side, don't go towards the right side, and also it will also tell the cabin crews, do not open the right side emergency exit doors, because that's a place which is totally sensitive and which might put the passenger's life at risk. So which means like even though if the cabin crews are, of course they're not gonna evacuate the passengers through the right side of an aircraft because of huge fire at the right side wings, but still, even though if the evacuation process is happening, you will use it clear and perfect even while you're inside the aircraft to not to go towards or evacuate yourself towards the right side of an aircraft, because you know that you're risking your life, okay? In case if you're feeling this is not actually too helpful, these windows are just I want to tell you, put it in a very simple way, there was a lot of difference between you preparing for your mathematical exam before 1 week, and there was a lot of difference between you preparing your mathematical exam before 1 minute of your examination. What do I mean by 1 minute? It's just a cabin crew announcing all the passengers on board that at the right side, don't evacuate yourself towards the right side of an aircraft, or don't try even to open the right side emergency exit door, because of the right side emergency exit door, there was a huge fire has been engulfing, a huge fire has covered the wings, so it might put all the passengers' life into your risk. That's what I meant by 1 minute. So an announcement is not actually gonna make a lot of impact into yourself. This is a scenario if the passenger cabin doesn't have any windows. In case if the passenger cabin has a windows, your eyes is gonna look into the danger, and your mind will prepare you physically to what to do and to not what to do. So that's the first reason. Of course, I brought even this under the safety reason. So yeah, we concluded with the first reason. Enough about why do passenger airplane cabin needs a window. So I believe you do really understand enough about why there was the need of cabin windows on the passenger airplane. So now let's move towards the second reason, enough about why do passenger airplane cabin needs why do passenger airplane cabin needs a window? And the reason number 2 is weight saving. Yes, of course, this might sound totally like doesn't make any sense, but to be honest, like because of an airplane having a lot of windows on the passenger cabin, it's actually leading to a lot of fuel saving for an airlines, and also it's also leading a lot of, it's also cutting down a lot of carbon emission. I'll tell you how. In case, like these windows are actually replacing, I'll tell you the structure, first of everything, I'll tell you enough about what are these sidewalls are made up of. The sidewalls of an airplane totally has 3 layers, which is the outer fuselage wall, which is either an aluminum or else either a carbon composite. Carbon composite on both the 787 and A350s, and rest of all those remaining airplanes has been only having the aluminum. And after this aluminum or a carbon composite, there will be an insulation blanket which will be a massive inside, and then there comes the inner fuselage wall. Okay, so wherever these windows has been kept, it's actually eliminating these three stuffs like, so these actually, when you're putting all these three stuffs into an aircraft, of course it's gonna increase the weight of an airplane. So what's actually happening is these windows were replacing some of the areas of the fuselage and actually reducing the manufacturer from putting out a lot of insulated blanket into an aircraft, which means totally bringing down the weight of an airplane. When the airplane's weight has been brought down, which means the engine needs to run a lesser which means the engine should need to generate lesser energy during the time of a flight, which means lower fuel burn, which means a lot of fuel saving for the airline, and at the same time, which means lower carbon emission. So that comes fuel saving, all right? So or weight saving or reducing the carbon emission. Anyway, Windows has a lot of positive impacts on airlines, on passengers, and also on the airlines. So now we're moving towards reason number 3, enough about why do passenger airplane cabin needs windows, which is claustrophobia. Alright, so in case if you doesn't know what is claustrophobia, it could be better said as flight anxiety or a fear of flying in an airplane. Researchers have clearly said one thing, which is, the window views are actually clearly helping out some of the passengers to reduce their fear of flying, which means the airlines is going to be totally happy because of these windows, because when the passengers were not having any fear of flying or having a less fear of flying, which means they're gonna use a lot of air transportation, which means they're gonna spend a lot of money in air transportation, which also means a lot of revenue for the airlines. So finally, those are the most important reasons about why there was windows at the passenger cabin of an aircraft. And finally, there was one more reason, which is, of course, whenever you see the title of this particular video, you might have guessed it like the windows at the passenger airplane cabin. Maybe it's for a greater view. That's the one thing which I personally believe that you must have guessed while you took a look into the title of this video. And I'm not totally opposing it, I'm saying yes for it. Of course, another one major reason why there was the windows at the passenger airplane's cabin is these windows are of course helping the passengers to fight against their boredom a little bit during the time of a flight, in case if there is no in-flight entertainment, and in case if their mobile phone battery and if their laptop is totally dead during the time of flight. So thus we concluded with 4 reasons, or the 4th reason is not a much considerable thing, so I better say there's totally 3 reasons enough about why there was a need of why there was a need of cabin windows at the windows at the passenger cabins. So now we are moving towards another one part of this video, which, as I said earlier, which is why do cockpit needs a window? Why do pilot cockpits needs windows? Of course, as I said earlier, I'm not gonna dive much deep into this particular thing because everybody knows that it is for the visual aid of pilots during the time of a flight. For example, I'm just gonna conclude this particular thing with the 2 examples. For example, if the pilot is on their final approach, of course the pilot need a visual aid in case if the pilot has not been pilot the airplane and if the airport has not been rated for Cat 3C ILS landing. Okay, so that particular situation, of course they need a visual aid, and most of the pilots, most of the airports, most of the I don't know much about the airplane ILS category rating, but most of the pilots and most of the airports all across the world hasn't been rated for ILS category 3C landings. So of course they should need to, of course it's a mandatory thing for the pilots to have a visual aid during their final approach for a certain meters. And there was also another one example. For example, while the pilot is entering into the gate at closer to the terminal, and there will be some marshaller which is showing some kind of a hand signs to saying the pilot that you can move a little more further, you need to stop right over here. So whenever these marshaller is showing all these signs, of course the pilot should need to have a clear visual aid to act according to the guidance of the marshaller. And how he is acting according to it? Through his visual aid. And what is being an intermediate between the marshaller and the pilot, which is the windows. So if there is no windows, of course the pilot couldn't see the guidance, whatever being said, whatever being encoded by the marshaller. Even in case if there is no marshaller, of course there will be something known as visual docking guidance system. And even you know, while the pilot is parking into the parking base at the airport, I'm sorry, not the parking base, at the gate of an airport, of course, even the visual docking guidance system is also going to be a display. So of course the pilot needs a windows. I can go a little more deep about this particular thing, but I'm not going much deep about it. So I believe these two examples just concluded and has given you a clear explanation that it was a mandatory thing for the pilot. Pilot should need to have a visual aid, and it is also mandatory to have windows at the cockpit of an aircraft. And one more thing, it is also a regulatory requirement to have cockpit windows at the airplanes currently. Not only the cockpit windows, also the passenger cabin windows, okay? So of course, whenever the aircraft manufacturers are manufacturing an airplane, it is mandatory for them to keep passenger cabin windows and also to keep airplanes cockpit windows. Or you can better say there's a windshield, because I news abjects are gonna mess up with me with the comment section by saying, hey look, how can I say it as a cockpit window? You should be saying it as a windshield. Yeah, anyway, you can also better say it as a windshield. It's up to you. So anyway, hope you guys totally learned something new from this video, and I believe you people have totally enjoyed in this video. And actually I tried to, you know, try my best to not make this video much lengthier. So I only try to say only whatever I personally felt it is a real mandatory things for you people who do really want to know. And at the same time, yeah, I believe that's enough for now. Again, I don't want to make this video to be very longer. So yeah, hope you guys do really enjoy this video, and I will see you all in my next video. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great and a very safe, awesome, amazing flight. And thanks for watching. Remember, love aviation.